All right, we broke the news yesterday that AJ Haulcy would potentially not be available for LSU, but we didn't know by the time we got off the air yesterday. We now do know. So I'm going to do the unimportant part first, and then I'll do the important part second, if that sounds good to y'all. Here's the unimportant part. A lot of LSU fans, not all of LSU fans, there are differing opinions on this entire matter, but there are a number of LSU fans that are saying, Clemson, you're twerps, you're scared, you're Bush League, they called LSU in, Dabo's a snake oil salesman, I'm ticked off at Clemson, screw you. This shouldn't be a thing. They're trying to wiggle their way out of helping LSU's better defender player out there. I'm not really on board with all that. Here's what I know. I know he was ejected from the game. And I know that a fighting ejection carries a suspension. I know that Houston didn't play in a bowl game. I know that LSU is AJ Haulcy's next game. Do I know whether or not it was unsportsmanlike on the field or fighting? No, I don't. Do I know that the Big 12 made a change? No, I don't. Do I know that Houston called Clemson to rat on LSU? I do not. Do I know that Clemson held this in their holster until 48 hours to game time and then do it? I do not. I don't know those things. So I'm not going to get up in arms about them. I'm just not. You can. It's perfectly within your right to get up in arms about them. I'm not going to operate that way. Here's what I do want to operate in. AJ Haulcy's not going to play in the first half for LSU. What does that mean? And because of the fact that we have gotten such essentially unfettered access to LSU practice in fall camp, I feel like I've got a significant amount of information to pass on to many of you that have not been at practice. And so what I have seen at practice is that AJ Haulcy is the best safety on the team. I see his instincts as being the best. I see his quickness as being the best. And then I go to the statistics that he's put on paper for the last 3 years, and that matches up. There's a reason why I told you the first week of fall camp, AJ Haulcy is going to start. He was not working with the first team at that point. I said AJ Haulcy will start. Because all of these things added up to a starter to me. And very quickly, in August, by week 3, AJ Haulcy was getting all the number 1 reps at safety. So the guy that you will be missing in the first half is important to the defense. Absolutely. And the guy that you will have in the second half is important to the defense. He's not suspended for the whole game. He's not hurt. He can't play the first 30 minutes. He will help in the second half. It hurts you not to have him in the first half. Okay, how badly does it hurt you not to have him in the first half? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Tamarcus Cooley will be one of the safeties back there, and then you will have one of 3 players filling in for Haulcy. It'll be Javien Taviano, it'll be Jardin Gilbert, it'll be DaShawn Spears. I cannot tell you right now what that order is going to look like. Now, Brian Kelly does some interesting things with names and position groups at the podium in press conferences. At times, he fudges names. At times, he forgets a player here or there. I don't really care about that, but I know that it happens. He called Josh Thompson Justin Thompson a week and a half ago. He's the right guard. Said Justin instead of Josh. Whatever. Don't care. But he did say DaShawn Spears' name first yesterday. Could be a clue as to what LSU's trying to do. Maybe just a coincidence, and that's the first guy he thought of. DaShawn Spears is big and can really run. I have no idea about his instincts, and I really don't know a lot about his tackling ability. What I can tell you about DaShawn Spears is that he immediately looked the part when he got to LSU, and I thought this time last year, right before the game against USC, hey, DaShawn Spears is going to play a lot for LSU this year at some point. And he played the last play of the game defensively where USC scored the touchdown last year. And then he really got eased in over the course of the next month. And they had the first bye week. And after the first bye week was Ole Miss. And at that point, the LSU staff, Jake Olson, and Blake Baker and Brian Kelly determined we're going with Jardin Gilbert and Sage Ryan. They're veterans. They're playing. So we're not going with DaShawn Spears. He's going to sit. And we're not going with Kylan Jackson. He's going to sit. And those guys didn't really play the rest of the year. Kylan Jackson transferred out. DaShawn Spears is still here. But he did not do anything over the course of that month to earn playing time over a pair of guys who were veterans and candidly did not play very well last year. Sage Ryan is gone. Jardin Gilbert was hurt last year. Now he's moved in. Jardin Gilbert has moved to star. I don't think that's a ringing endorsement of what they've gotten from him at safety. Because if you've been out to practice, which I have, obviously, you've seen Jardin Gilbert start with the ones as a safety. He was out there with the first team as a safety for the first week and a half. And then he wasn't. And then it was Cooley, and it was Haulcy, and Gilbert moved up to the star spot. So, clearly, you're seeing a separation there in ability and production at practice. Do they move Gilbert back to his old spot? He knows the defense. It's not a new coordinator. It's not a new position coach. He knows that spot. He's capable of playing it. To what level? It wasn't great last year. How much of that was because he was hurt? I can't answer that. I think Taviano's probably third up here. That's my opinion. If he starts the game, I will not be stunned. That's how close I think this three-man race is. The question is, how badly does it hurt? I got a text from a buddy yesterday that said, hey, why is the line not moved? Well, he's a safety. It's not the quarterback. It's a half. It's not the whole game. I can simultaneously believe that AJ Haulcy is one of LSU's best defenders and also believe that LSU should have a person capable of going back there, playing safety at an adequate level for 30 minutes of football. And I believe that. This is not, your all-American edge rusher playing against a team with a vulnerable left tackle and an all-American quarterback where you need him to neutralize that. You've got veteran DBs. Stamps is a veteran. Delane's a veteran. Cooley's a veteran. Perkins has been there a while. I'm going to group him into this group as he plays down there at the star. Gilbert's a veteran. This is not a new group you're putting out there. You don't have to rush a true freshman 3-star to the field. This is not Cal or Purdue. You've got veteran 4-star players, Power 4 transfers that are ready to play safety. I don't believe it's going to be backbreaking to LSU. Now, if you play one of those backup safeties and he's coming down to fill the rush lane off the edge and whiffs on Randall, the running back, and he takes it 65 yards for a touchdown, well, that'll be pretty obvious to all of us go, well, that's not great. If there's a one-on-one coverage spot and Williams goes up and makes a heck of a play and scores a 70-yard touchdown because you didn't have AJ Haulcy out there, well, we'll be able to diagnose that. I don't anticipate that. I think the guys that LSU has in the secondary are good enough to function. It hurts LSU defensively. It doesn't cripple LSU defensively. And oh, by the way, the other 10 guys that are going to be out there on defense, I think are really, really good. I think this is going to be a small inconvenience on Thursday and Friday, and I think it's going to be a blip on the radar on Saturday. That's what I think. You can call that being a homer. You can call that purple and gold glasses. You can call that naive. I don't think this is going to cripple LSU's chances. I will sit here. I will sit here and tell you I was wrong on Monday if that's the case. And trust me, I realize LSU safety play last year wasn't good. In fact, it was bad, and Haulcy's brought in to fix that. But we're talking 3 possessions here, 4 possessions here. Just play your assignment. 4 possessions. And this is not something that's been abrupt in the sense of a targeting penalty. You now have the ability to put your minds together as a coaching staff and go, okay, here's what we like to do with AJ here. If we think that we're exposed a little bit at safety, let's change a little bit of how we want to operate. And I realize that can sound like a really big deal, but maybe it's not a huge deal. I think the depth on LSU's defense has insulated it from blips in the radar like this. I think you can recover from Jamari Butler missing a quarter and a half or 2 quarters. I think you can recover from Jacobian Guillory having an injury. I think you could recover if PJ Woodland rolled an ankle. Like, you've got depth on this defense. It's now time to show that in the first game. And guess what? When you come out of that halftime locker room, AJ Haulcy will be ready to go. Last thing on this, because Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon talked about this on Live at Lunch in one of their first segments. Does it impact the way you handle the coin toss? Because you have a key defensive player who won't be there in the first half, but will be in the second half. Do you want to take the ball in this instance because you want to put your offense out there and maybe you play one less defensive possession without Haulcy? And I understand that line of thinking. I absolutely do. I would not abide by it. I do not want to put LSU's offense in that offensive line, in that hornet's nest, across from that defensive line to start the game. There's jitters. The crowd is at its fever pitch. No. Put the defense out there and let Clemson have to go the length of the field to create something to start the game. Plus, I want the ball to start the second half. I understand the thinking, and I don't think it's unreasonable. There are some things I tell you, that's wrong. Don't do that. This is not that situation. I can understand the other side of the coin. I don't think I would do that. I want the extra possession in the second half. I want the potential to sandwich possessions before halftime and after halftime, and I don't want to put the offense out there in the hornet's nest to start the game. I want the defense out there where the crowd's going to be a little bit subdued and everybody can get their jitters out while LSU's on defense. That's my opinion on it. But we'll see what Brian Kelly likes. He likes to take the football. We'll see. I think the LSU defense is good enough to go ahead and put them out there, even without Haulcy, to start the games. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.